Last week,
Yeah.
we discussed that the Ram clearly has an approach that in Mitzvah Saseh Kuf Yud Zayin, he compares he proves that the four types of Erchin are four types of four different mitzvahs from the fact that there are four different mitzvahs by Maisa Chatos, Maisa Oilo, Maisa Shlomim, and Maisa Osham, which we pointed out the Rambam is a trailblazer over here, and it's not clear that the Kadmonim before him had this approach, and he takes the double poshit, and he proves from this, and extrapolates other things. What he does is an amazing thing, and that's just a aside. I guess as time goes on, we'll talk about it more and more. The Rambam accepts that which the Kadmonim said, that if the Torah has a parsha and has disparate dinim in the parsha, that's enough to make it a mitzvah. But and that's what he seems to be saying in Mitzvah Seit Tzadihei Ba'afos Nedorim. On the other hand, there's a very odd thing, because the Rambam clearly says in the 8th Shurish that a mitzvah must be a tzivui. A mitzvah say is a mitzvah to do something, a mitzvah say is a mitzvah not to do something. So much so, the Ram starts off with a discussion, linguistic discussion, and quotes an Arab scholar who was a scholar in Aristotle, and just what language is all about, whether you have two words or one word for a command. In other words, can you have one word which bases a generic term for a positive command and a negative command? But it's clear that it's a positive command. So the Rambam, excuse me, a priori looking at it, it's looking like almost like he's fudging it, because he claims that all these shuranas, all these parshas, which tell you about dinim, the Torah is telling you to be lodum b'din zeh. And ki'ilu, there's a tzivui when we don't find a tzivui in the Torah, and the Rambam is the knight in shining armor saying that mitzvahs depend on Torah Shebiksav. So you have amazing things going on over here, and you have no clue of how he did it. So that really explains, and I just go over that again, the Rambam, most of the shroshim are in the negative. Because what the Rambam is not doing, and you would expect him to, what you expect him to do, is to start anew and to have new klolim of how you understand mitzvahs. He accepts certain klolim of the kadmonim without even talking about them, and attacks those parts or those things which he doesn't like. But this idea of shurano, that if the Torah has a parsha and disparate dinim, which Rav Sadi going clearly accepts, the Rambam accepts, but tweaks it a little bit and says that there's a mitzvah here, and we don't know how he did it. Okay, whatever that is, whatever it is, okay? Now, let me just just go on a little bit at the end over here of this, the mitzvah of Maisa Zevach HaShlomim, okay? That's probably some of Vov. And the Rambam does like this, and this is the part that I'm interested. U'meseches Zvochim koleles dinei elu arba mitzvahs. Okay? And as the Rambam usually does, at the end of the mitzvahs, he says ma'amakaymes where the dinim are. Okay, I thought, and maybe I'm wrong. See, the question is the Rambam a Ma'amakaymes Sefer? And it's a little bit odd that he goes out of his way in all the or not in all, in many, to say this is Maseches this, and Maseches that. If you accept that the Rambam is still working with the basic principles which he formulated in Akdoma to Pirush Mishnayos, that mitzvahs were given as the, let's say, the curriculum of Moshe Rabbeinu taught Klal Yisrael. For example, there's Gemara in Eruvin on Nundalid that the Gemara quotes, let's say the Mishnah, what did you do? Moshe taught Aaron, then Moshe taught Aaron Abonov, then Moshe taught Aaron Abonov Zekanim, and then Aaron Abonov Zekanim and on. But you don't find that Rishonim talk about what was the curriculum. Okay, comes around Pirush Mishnayos and says that the curriculum was Taryag Mitzvos. And if you look at him, what he's saying is, independent of everything, whether Torah Chasuma Nitna, or Torah Megillas Nitna, whether Torah was given in piecemeal or as one unit, and the Ram seems to say clearly in the beginning of Mishnah Torah that it was given as a unit, okay? Still, in the Pirush HaMishnah, he says that the Mikra, which is shaykh to each mitzvah, was given biksav. And they learned that mitzvah biksav, the Torah biksav, and the Rebbeinu Shalom gave Moshe Rabbeinu the Torah Shel Peh. And Moshe Rabbeinu learned with Knesset Yisrael Taryag Mitzvos. They wrote the Mikra, Haboro, Hamuchukam, however you can translate the Arabic. And he taught them that there's a mitzvah Basukas Teshu Shivas Yomim. And he said, Mipi Ashmo, I heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Cholim Pturim. And you'll see how the Rambam discusses what wasn't clear, that it was a Pirush Moshe Rabbeinu, that was the Messiah. So then it might be that the Rambam is mentioning that the dini, the Torah Sheba'al Peh of these mitzvahs are in where they are, Maseches Vachim over here, to tell you that this fits in to the general approach that the Boile Shalom taught Moshe Rabbeinu the Torah Shebiksav with the Torah Sheba'al Peh, and that's what Moshe taught Bnei Yisrael. And the Messiah continued that in Maseches Vachim, telling us the Torah Sheba'al Peh of these four mitzvahs. U'Maseches Vachim koleles dini elu arba mitzvahs gamke. Now, if I would have been the Rambam, I would have stopped right over here. However, something strange happens, because the Rambam says, and here we're going to have a foray in about for about 2 or 3 words over here. We'll see in the Arabic. Umashi chuba alehem min adoim alohen min ha mechayi amuchuyi vapoto va'amaisa hanifsad va'holich al yoshe. These words offhand are like darsheni. The Kapach, I think's translation is a lot better. Yeah. Mashi Chube Aleihem. We'll see that he translates Mashi Chube Aleihem. Okay. And Min Hadoimim. It's not, should be Min Hadoimim, not Umin Hadoimim. And even Tibbin, it was a Min Hadoim. We don't understand. Mashi Chube Aleihem, Min Hadoimim, and which is, we'll see, is Pesach, Ma'aseh Behema, and Bechor, okay? And then the Min HaMechuyev P'tur, which Kapach says, Mima shechoiva la'aseis, u'ima shechayov maleim, which is, the reading is a lot better. And it's opposed to V'holich al ha'yosher is V'hanase ketiknoi. So the words make sense. What you're supposed to do, and if you don't do it, you chayiv something, and what castles or whatever. Okay, the same. So all this is very nice. Okay, so I can tell you, you see, this I don't know exactly, and this is odd, because l'chayri he should have just told you Meseches Vachim Kolas Dinim Elu Abba Mitzvos. So he has to discuss what you chayiv on, and what's doing it the wrong way or the right way. I mean, why is that of interest to us? That's not clear to me, because in general, Sefer Mitzvos is not Mishnah Torah, is not telling you Dini Mitzvos, but he could be telling you Ma'amokim to tell you that the Torah Shema is this. So that, I'm not sure what the answer is, okay? However, we'll get to it, we'll talk about what he's saying, okay? But Umashi Chuba Alehem, Min Adoim Alehen, he's telling us about B'chol, Ma'aseh Behem and Pesach, which he alludes to in the Hagdama to Pirush HaMishnah of Zvochim in Madua Basra, when he revised it. He adds that there are not only 4 types of Kabbanos, there are those that are Daima. And then in the 5th parak of Zvochim in Mishnah Ches, also Madua Basra, he has a long diatribe explaining how this all works, why there's still only 4. Okay? The question is, what is the Ram trying? We'll see, we'll explain what it's going on and what the words mean, what the Arabic, we'll cut to it. The question is really, what does the Rambam want here? What's the point? Is he trying to tell us that B'chol, Ma'aseh Behem, and Pesach are subsumed on the Shlomim? Because if he would be telling us that, a priori, the place for that is before. When he discusses and he says, "V'elu abo ma'asim kloima, ma'asa oila v'achatos v'ashlomim hein ma'asa kabonos kulam, shahaim koyolim hadayim alahem v'chulei." And that's what he should have written. This is offhand a parenthetical remark and almost an apology. After he's quoted Ma'amah Kaimas, a discussion about Umashi Chuba Aleim Min Adayim Alehem. Okay, that is the backdrop of the first real discussion topic which I want over here. And this, we'll see, is amazing. First of all, let's start over here. This word, Mashi Chuber Alehem, what is the proper translation of it? And what does the word mean? And let me just preface this, that the Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvos, or in probably Pirush Mishnayos, we'll see other cases that he will use these words in Pirush Mishnayos, and there's other places I just know my Arabic and it's not great, but the Rambam has, say, from the early Doma, 4 words, different Arabic words to say something's attached. Okay? Now, I'm going to say something which really is idiotic, that I should make such a statement, but I firmly believe it. And even though I'm not an Arabic scholar, knowing what I know from the Rambam, if there are 4 different words for something, and the Rambam mixes and matches when he uses the words, he, in context, is using them in a very special way. And each word will have its own special meaning. And that's what I want to explore. And if I'm correct, this is amazing, okay? Now, let's start slowly. The word that the Rambam used is an Arabic word yandaf over here, something I'm not pronouncing it right, okay? And let's say it's something like betzirif too, or benoisaf al, or something like that. But however, we'll see that there are other words, and we'll see there's a word like mechak, which we'll come to, we'll see, and there's a word taba, tov aleph beis ayin, and there's a word like damen, okay? And we'll see exactly where and how the Rambam uses them, and I hope that through context, we'll see there's a very important message that the Rambam has. And with this, I'm going to try to answer the question of what the Rambam wants over here, okay? So bear with me. And now, my thesis is that this word, yandaf, the word the Rambam is using over here, is that where the relationship between what he was talking about before and what he's bringing in now, the relationship is very weak. Okay? And therefore, I think, because the relationship between Bechor, Maaseh Behema, Pesach, and Zevach Shlomim is very weak. And if you notice over here, there's a difference to what he's doing over here and what he's doing in the fifth parak of Zvachim. The Rambam fifth parak of Zvachim is taking a position that Bechor, Maaseh Behema, and Pesach, the Hakrova is somewhat similar to Zevach HaShlomim, okay? And what's doimer to what is the Bechor, Maaseh Behema, and Pesach are doimer to Shlomim. However, if you're honest with yourself and you read the Rambam over here, I don't think he's saying that, because he says, "Umashi b'chuber min hadoima lohen." What's lohen? Didn't he just say we were talking about dine elu alba mitzvahs gamkein umashi chuba aleihem min hadoima lohen? So I would have told you that the Rambam over here in Sefer HaMitzvos is not even taking the position that Pesach, Bechor, and Maaseh Behema is similar to Zevach HaShlomim. It's somewhat similar to the four korbanos in general, the four different types of korbanos, but not to any one in particular. That's what the statement seems to say. Whether his discussion in the Madura Basra in Pirsha Mishnayis, he might have revised his theories about things. You know, when it happened and how it happened to me is irrelevant. But there's no statement over here that we're talking about Shlomim, Zevach Shlomim in particular. And I would say that clearly would support my thesis that the connection over here is very weak, because it's not clear at all that it's similar to any one particular korban. Okay. And therefore the Rambam in Pirush Mishnah, I think I might have mentioned it to you, in Perikei Mishnah Ches, asked the question, why, when we're counting the types of korbanos, why don't we have 7 instead of 4? And we should have had Maaseh Behema, Bechor, and Pesach. So he says that since there's some similarities to Shlomim, and whatever the Torah is for Torah, so therefore he's not making a separate group. Okay? Is this a strong argument that they're really part of Shlomim, or it's just a reason not to make a separate group? And I would take have the latter opinion. And independent of what position you're going to take in the Pirush HaMishnah, certainly over here, and the placement of the discussion, Meseches Vochim, it's almost like an apology at the end that Meseches Vochim happens to discuss the Doimelehen, but don't make a mistake that these are not part of the four mitzvahs. And he puts it over here bedafka because he's not adding on to them. The Maisa, the Chiyuv HaKrova, and the Maisa HaKrova are all one mitzvah. That's what I would say. Then it's very clear what's going on over here. Then it's amazing, okay? It's just the opposite. And that's why he places it over here. And that's why he uses this word, Yandaf. And then, if that's correct, the Rambam also uses this word in two other places in the Shurashim, when he has a discussion at the end, okay, even though if I'm not mistaken, Kapach translates the same word in different ways, he has an addendum to Shurish Shi'i, and he has an addendum to Shurish Yudalid. It's not clear it's an addendum to Shurish Yudalid or all the Shurashim. You have to ask yourself what it is exactly. But it's an addendum which is not conceptually tied to it. It's just an add-on. And since the connection is so weak, he also calls a yanda. Okay. Now, then it's very good that he says they're only doime, and they really, and he'll discuss the mitzvah of Mekayim. And he adds it in the Ma'al Mekayim, since it's really not part of the mitzvah. So everything is I call Al Mekayim Yovel B'Shalom. Now, let's take the other words and see how he uses them. And you'll see the clarity of what I'm saying or how nebulous it is. You'll decide yourself. Okay. Now, there's a word milchak, okay, which in my opinion there's a clear relationship between this add-on and the mitzvah itself. You'll find that relationship either in Torah Shebiksav itself or in a Pirush Makubal, which the Rambam clearly says in the second Shurish, which also makes it part of the mitzvah. Okay, so that's a very strong. Here is the opposite. First, at one extreme, the weakest possible relationship you could imagine. It's not part of the mitzvah at all. And another case where it's part of the mitzvah mamish, and it's in Torah Shebiksav. This, I'll show you some examples. Example number one, in mitzvah Peites, you'll use the word mechak when he talks about achilas kochim kalim and achilas truma. He says that there's a mitzvah saseh of achilas chatos v'asham, achilas kochim hamechaperes, and he says that achilas kohanim and kochim kalim is nigrach mitzvah. And then at the end he says, V'loshen sifro, avoides matona etenes kunaschem, la'aseis achilas kochim bigvulen, kavoides mikdash b'mikdash. So he's clearly saying that there's a pirush hamakubal over here, that's the sifro, the sifri, okay, and that this is part of the mitzvah. In fact, you'll see here in Maisa Kobonis. Very good. Maybe I'm wrong with the Seir Aleph. 1 second. No. No, beautiful. Very good. Yeah. Perek Yud Aloha Aleph. Achilas Chatos Lo'oshom Mitzaseh. Shnei Molocho Isama Shekupa Bohem. HaKohanim Oichom U'Bailim Miskapim. Vehu Hadin. L'Shar HaKodshim She'oichom U'Kohanim She'achilos and Mitzvah. So the Ram clearly puts this b'chlal, the mitzvah itself. And it's achilas a mitzvah. It's mamish. Exactly what you want. Okay. Now, that's beautiful. You'll find another case. You'll find the mitzvah ayin gimel and the mitzvah's vidui. Ubavur shebo atziva ahu vizvadu im chiv hakorban shohya oil b'machshava she'ein avidui levadei mitzvah b'fnei atzmo eluhu me'advom and nigror ach hakorban nigrorim ach hakorban hutzri v'aluzeh. Had we not known, we would have said that vidui, the same way smicha is part of the akrova, we would have said vidui is part of the akrova. And he says lo achak there. And it means that if there had not been a pirush makubah from Matiki Ashmur, that vidu is a mitzvah nifredes, independent of korban, bein b'shas korban, bein shlois kav b'shas korban, from the Tersha B'Ksav, you would have said that it's part of the mitzvah's korban. It would have been a machak of the mitzvah's korban. Okay? Now, another case. Minchas nesochim of a korban oilo or shalomim. Okay. Now, where did I pick this one up from? You'll see in the Pirush Mishnayis in Akdama to Menachos. In He'or 1 in Kapach, Kapach says that the word that's used over there is l'chak. Okay? You'll see in He'or 1. And the important thing you'll see over here. And he says, mincha hanikteres im hakorban vihi tfeiloloi, this is the machak, vizu hi hanikres minchas nesochim vi'ef shelo oisa korban biladeho. So there's a relationship between the minchas nesochim and the korban. The question is this, does it become part of the mitzvah korban's korban? So Rabbi Sai, the Rambam has clearly told us this in Shiur Yud Beis. Because in the Rambam at Shiur Yud Beis, when he talks about the Maisa Oila, he says like this, and he says, Moshe Bezeh Oila. Hine anachnu tzavinu shetiya melechas Oila kach, v'hi shetishochid Oila b'tuvshat, v'chinirotech, v'yizrek domo, al toya kach, v'yikochel bo, v'ach kach yisov kol besora. Im shir kach meseiles blula b'shemen, v'shir kach meyayin, v'eman nesochim. Ototot, the minchas nesochim is the part of the Ma'aseh. And that's how the Ram's careful, that's the chak. And therefore the Ram's very careful. All menachos in general, in Maisa Korbanos, are quoted in Perek Yud Beis, then he continues discussing Yud Gimel. Minchas Nesochim is quoted in Perek Beis of Maisa Korbanos. That the Maisa Korbanos and the Minchas Nesochim, it's part of the Akrova of the Korban itself. And this is a very strong link, and it's part of the mitzvah. Or that the Ram clearly says in Shiur Yud Beis that it's part of the Maaseh Oila. Now, I want to introduce, that's what he says very clearly in Perek Beis, V'chos Maaseh Korbanos Halacha Aleph. Hayayin v'asol shemivin im hakorban heim hanikun nesochim v'asol zevad the nikus minchas nesochim. Was it im hakorban Oh, it's part of the Kovas HaKorban. Now, let me introduce you to another word. Another word here is called taba. Tuf, aleph, beis, ayin. And in my opinion, it's the same or very similar to machak. And I'll tell you why, okay? You see, when the Rambam says A equals B, or A is similar to B, then we would know it. If you use the same word and a different word in about the same thing, that's the way I would prove it. So in the Rambam, in Pirush Mishnayos, in Nagam Menachos, he also used the word taba as far as Minchas Nesachim when it relates to Korban. So therefore, I felt that it's probably something very similar. He says over there, Upamim korim lekulam, kloima haselis habolu vayayin nesachim derech iakpoda b'shemois lefi she'ein chiyu vayayin b'li haselis v'haselis b'li hayayin v'heim yachad minis pechei hakorban. Nis pechei hakorban is taba. So he's saying there's a relationship between the Minchas Nesachim and the Korban. It's part of the Kovas HaKorban. And he said a few lines, and he said before, the same type of idea, and he used the word machak. But it clearly is part of the Ma'is HaKorban of the Korban. You see Kapach there in Ha'olah 9 that the word is taba. You'll find, Rabbi Isai, the word taba in another place, in the mitzvah which we studied already, mitzvah nun vav. And they also will see that in Torah Shebiksav, it's part of the mitzvah. Mitzvah nun vav, Yaseh, is Yaseh of Achilas HaPesach. And he says, Avo hamoro hu nigrar la'achilas HaPesach. Ve'eno nimna mitzvah ve'atzmoi. But what's the nigrar? That's the taba. That it's enmeshed in the mitzvah of Achilas HaPesach. And it's not a separate thing. Like Minchas Nesachim is enmeshed in the mitzvah of Hakovas Korban. Now, I still owe you one more. Okay? This word damen, okay, you'll find, in my opinion, it's something in between. We had now, there's a very, very loose connection. It's really not part of the mitzvah at all. And sometimes there's some connection which is really part and parcel of the mitzvah, is meshed, embedded in the mitzvah. The Rambam uses this word, namen, in Loisase Memhei. He says there's a law of seret, Loistul seretes, and kolcha, okay, lamed Memhei, and then he says in the middle of Memhei, Vu amroi shebechlal, vu amru, that the Matiki Ashmua said, shebechlal lav zeh gam keino azhoro mechiluke botei dinim, b'menagei v'chiluv hakvutzim v'amru lo siskoidedu lo sasu agudas agudas. So the question is, Rabbi Isai, he uses the word dam in a different word, not machaka, not taba, and not yandaf. So he explains what he has in mind very clearly. Avogufe dikra hinehu kamo shebiru v'omu loisasu chabru alameis v'zuhi kamo drash. If it's not pshat and Torah shebiksav, if it's not a pirush makubo, but it's a drash from the Matiki Ashmua, so it's not Yandaf. It's not that it has no shaykhis. He's quoting here in the Gufa Mitzvah, who's explaining it, but he's saying it's only Bechlal. It's not Jika Mitzvah, because it's not Torah Shebiksav. The Ram does this again, the same Arabic word in the Mitzvah Smachta B'Chagecha, Aseh Nun Daled, V'koil b'yom v'smachta b'checha ma she'omru gam kein sameach b'chol minei simcha u'mizeh lecho bosa b'yom tovim, which is not bosa kochim and not the shalmei chagiga and the shalmei simcha, This is not the mitzvah Torah shebiksav, it's a drash. It's not gufid dikra. And the Rambam actually uses the word which would explain that. And that's why the Rambam puts v'samachta b'chagecha, the mitzvah, in Protei Mitzvahs in Hilchos Chagiga. Because in Torah shebiksav, it's Hilchos Chagiga. Because in Torah shebiksav, the three mitzvahs, the Riyah, the Chagiga, and the Simcha, in Torah shebiksav is Mikdash in Kodshim. And he has an aside, a discussion aside, that's something else called the Simchas Yontif, which he has in the Simchas Yontif, but it's not Pshuta Shel Mikra. And therefore I said the Rambam has Malkus by Seret, but there's no Malkus by Chaburis. Okay? Because we don't have Malkus and a Drash and a Torah Shebiksav. Okay? Beseda. Next. So that, I think, is all the different words about attachment and how the Rambam uses them. And the Rambam, then it's very good over here that it's after Maseches Zvachim, because it's not part of the discussion itself. It's an aside that you shouldn't hit him, and it's a very loose connection. And not even to Shlomim itself, but to any of them. Now, I guess we can move on. Now, next. Now, he has another word here, another Arabic word. Umina b'chuyiv v'aptur, and if you recall, umina b'chuyiv umina ptur is uma shechayovim olov. Okay. So what does mean chayov molov? He has this word v'al mechadud. Okay. So this looks very innocent, however, but I'll be frank with you. Min hashamayim, I was very much interested in this word. I must say my focus of attention was on it. I've been thinking about this word. Yes, why, what, for the last week or two, what does this word mean? I started my, let's say, this is going on here and there, but I think I'm closer to the answer now. I started this in Shirish Yadalid, where the Rambam talks about Gedolim of mitzvahs, and he says, how do you count them in the minyan? And he says you count the various type of inchim, whatever you want, various type of machadud. The strange thing in the middle of the Shirish, he has all different words, other Arabic words about inchim, and this word machadud was never clear in the Rambam. Looking at Sefer HaMitzvos, was never clear that there's a specific word about inchim. Okay. So then, this Shabbos, Kedalki, after the Sefer of Sadiq came out, okay, for some reason, Min HaShamayim, I started learning the 17th parak of Sefer Mitzvah of Sadia. And I must say, I just was lying down after davening, I just jumped. Here is the parak, okay? This is the translation. A parak Yud Zayin. Parak Hashiva Osa. Gidrei Sidrei Hadin Hashimiyim, okay? Vehem Shloishim Ve'arba. The Absadi those who know his Torah, I'm not getting involved, there's a certain class of mitzvahs called Mitzvah Shimiyim, okay? And this Gidrei, okay, the Arabic translation over here, not the Arabic, the original Arabic is Chof Dalid Vav Dalid. Okay. In here, he has the Dalid Shemim, Nizkei Momoin, Yerushas. If you if you want to maybe translate the word, it's not an oynish at all. It's rules. And he has the din of Geneva, of Kefel, Dal Vehei, Bob Machteres. He has a lot of different things over here. We can go through all 37 if you like, okay? But to say that there's Einshim over here is a little bit odd, okay? So, frankly, I'm very excited about this because, see, the Rambam in Shiur Yudalid is talking about, he says that every Ma'aseh Aveira, whether it's a lois aseh, violating a lois aseh, and I say, you can discuss whether there's an oynish or not, or there's a gedel, or something going on, okay? So certainly, when you're talking about Dalabis Bezdin, or you're talking about Malchus, you're talking about an oynish, okay? I was a little bit confused because how they shomim yashavti ben hachomim. Remember when it increases by my Rabbi Zeichet Tzadik Livracha. I don't recall a discussion about a korban chatos as an oynish. I know it is a mechaper. However, the mechdud, I entail a chiyuv of avos chatos when I violate a ma'aseh aveira of chayve krisis. Okay, but it means that the chat is an oynish. So I thought that maybe the Rama uses a more generic word, which is not limited to oynish, but could be an oynish. Various rules that happen under certain circumstances. The Ram's circumstances is the Afsadis going circumstances of the mitzvah shimiyim. The Ram's circumstances when you violate a lois aseh and aseh. Okay, here he can use the word machdud because when you in the ma'aseh korban, if you do it improperly, there could be chiyuvim. Okay, not only a chiyuv misa b'dei shamayim, which I can imagine is an oynish, which are not mitzvahs anyway, but if you eat pigul and noisal, you are chayiv a korban chatos. And the Ram calls it a mechadud because he wants to have a word of oynish, of a rule, which is not necessarily classical oynish. And therefore he uses that word over here. That's my thesis. Okay, let's go on now. So that was my Arabic discussion about the Yandaf, Machak, Taba, and Namen, and also Chadud. Okay, you look over Shiur Yudalid, and you'll probably understand more what I'm trying to say. Now, I do have a problem, and but I don't know if I'm responsible for it. Okay, the indafa, which you find over here, which the Ram uses as a very very loose connection. Rav Avram ben Rambam in the Ma'aseh Nisim in Tshuva number 6 describes the relationship of Moab and Korban Pesach as idafa. I don't know if I should. I'm not sure if that breaks anything over here. You can ask yourself whether the Rambam himself is necessarily has to use words in the same way that his son did. Okay, that's just a remark. Okay, an aside. Okay. Now, next. That was the end of Zevach HaShalom. Okay. Now, next is Mincha. Now I want to tell you, an amazing thing happens over here in Mincha. HaMitzvos Hasheva v'shishim Hi shetzivonu sheyihye Maaseh hamincha al atoya hanizka b'min umin mehem. What does he mean? What does he mean? What does he mean over here? The Torah, he's talking about the various korbanos, right? Excuse me, the various types of menachos, as he says later. V'hu amo yis'aleh v'nefesh kisachiv kol b'mincha Hashem v'hu mincha al hamachvas v'al minchas macheshes v'oma la'shlomes ha'maisa. So there's machvas macheshes. We'll see mafetano v'chule. Correct? Right? So let me just ask you a question. Okay. If you recall, in Shiur, the Ram says that those acts which are a hakdama, which are prelude to a performance, have nothing to do with the mitzvah. He talks about that in the getting of the soles, in the afiyah for lechem aponim. He talks about it in the making of the shemen for hamlokas menorah. He talks about the making of the keteres for the aktoras akteres, and the making of the shemen hamishcha for the meshichas hakohen gadol, melech, whatever you want to call it. So if you're looking and thinking about machvas and macheshes, I would have said a priori that the machvas and macheshes, or the mafetano, or the rikikin, the chalois, the soiles, they're basically hakdomus, and the mitzvah is the kmitza, whatever, hagosha, whatever you wanted, the haktorah. Okay. I think what the Rambam is trying to say over here is don't make that mistake. And don't compare the macheshes and the machvas to Sheresh Yud, but the hachona of the mincha in these cases are part of the Maaseh mincha itself. There's the Maaseh the macheshes and the Maaseh of the machvas, and it's part of the Maaseh, this strange Arabic word which has an element of artisan, of design, of artistic design, of whatever you like, includes over here also not the hakbig before the hakrova. The achona itself is also part of Gufa Mitzvah and nothing to do with Sheresh Yud. And on Rabbi side, if you had any doubt about this, the Rambam, go back now to Sheresh Yud Beis, and the Rambam clearly says it, the Sheresh Yud Beis. V'lo yodu at the kadmonim ki elu kulom chelkei meleches hamincha. We're talking about the chelkei of the Maaseh mincha. Meleches hamincha is this strange Arabic word, this artisan, artistic way of art, design-based way of doing something. V'zeh ki anachnu tztavinen shenakiv mincha v'yacha kein bo levaya Hashem al eze dov v'noifel v'teres hamincha. V'omar shehitiyeh min asoles o min alechem ha'osli ater kach Or the te'ah kach of the lechem is part of the guf HaMitzvah. Or te'ah kach, the lechem could be two ways. And not only mekikin and chalois, but also kloima machvas or macheshes or mafetano. Or the te'ah kach v'kach, the mokum of that is the chsherish beis. As part of the Maisa Mincha, and that's the Ram is going out of his way. Benefesh kisakiv kol b'mincha, or the Imam Achvas v'cheshes, that each one of these is part of the Maisa Mincha. Okay, now, okay, so that is the backdrop of this. And you'll find this also, Rabbi Yisai, not only there, you'll find it also in Perek Yud Beis and Perek Yud Gimel. Certainly, Perek Yud Gimel. Let's see, Perek Gimel Aleph Beis Hey Vav Ches Yud Beis Mitzvah Sasei Laseis Kol Mincha Kimitzvos Hamu B'Torah. Otutos the mitzvah Laseis Mincha Kimitzvos. V'keitzad asiyas chavite kohen gadol v'chulei. Okay. Minchas haselis keitzad hoyis nasis v'chulei. Minchas hamachvas v'amacheshes keitzad v'chulei. Minchas mafeitano keitzad. Say the havos mincha keitzad v'chulei. But the whole thing is part of the Maisakha, the Maisa Mincha. In Maisa Mincha it extends not only, and it starts from Shechita, it starts from the Machvas and Macheshes. Okay, let's continue. Now, you'll find it also here. Now, let me show you what happens over here. The Sefer Chayf, okay, the Rav Sadi going over here. Rav Sadi going. Let's take it over here. Sadi going has like this. In Perek Yutes is the Perek Matisha also Shal Kobonis. So he has like this. No. Yeah. Here it is. Here it is. B'chol korban. No. Oh. Umincha. No. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, this is saying, v'koboros hamincha, chamisha. V'koboros hamincha, chamisha. Listen to them. O solis k'moshehi, imoi, shemen ulevoina, omo v'nefesh kisakriv, korban mincha l'Hashem, solis yeh korbonoi, v'yotzer oleh shemen, v'nosar oleh levoina. Oh, mafe chalos or kikin, or that the chalos and the kikin are two separate chefses, and the two separate mitzvahs. There's minchas solis, the minchas mafe, but in mafe there's chalos and there's lekikin, and there's machvas, another mitzvah. Oh, ha'ofui al machvas, oime v'mincha al machvas korbanecha. Oh, mevushal b'sir b'shemen b'im minchas ma'cheshes korbanecha. Okay? Derech agav, you'll see in the Ram Mishnah Torah that it's not mevushal, but it's called ofui. Everything is ofui over here. Okay, that's not my issue. Tigun, not Tigun, Rashi, Chumash. Okay. What happens over here is an amazing thing. Okay? The amazing thing is, okay, this is in Sherish Yud Beis. And the Rambam over here is combining Shirish Yud Beis with Shirish Zion. This is Fikah of the Maisa Mincha. Dahainu, there are many different ways to bring a Mincha of the Maisa Mincha. There's a Maisa Mincha of Machvas. There's a Maisa Mincha of Macheshes. There are two types of Maisa Mincha of Mafei, Rikik, and Chalis. And there's also Solas. And the emissaries, I would have told you that Mafei Tano, the Rikik and the Chalis, is a Fikah. But that's really irrelevant. According to Rav Sadi Goin has made the Rambam over here is coming like a knight in shining armor and say, no! It's not separate mitzvahs. It's all fikeh of the mitzvah of the Maisa Kovas HaMincha. And in fact, the Sefer Chepes goes even further, and the Rambam's second argument there about having Malicha of Mincha as a separate mitzvah, which the Rambam is arguing about at the end of Shirish Yud Beis, that you find in Sefer Chepes. And this the Rambam is doing over here, is going as a night shine on Maisa HaMincha al Toya Hanizka B'min u'min shel mehem each fikeh Bu'ama Yis'alev v'nefesh ki yisakev minch korban minchal Hashem v'goyim. I think that includes mafetano. Okay. V'e mincha al hamachvas v'goyim minchal macheshes. Then he says, Rabbi Isai, you shouldn't make a mistake and assume that the whole teres hamincha is only in Pashas Vayikra. No. V'oma la'ashlomas ha'maisa, don't make the mistake and assume that that which is in Sav is a separate mitzvah. Okay, it's a separate mitzvah. Not true. It's part the komets askara, all the different that it's tunas shemen u'levoina u'kmitza l'kitas levoina and hagosha, which all in Parshas Sav is a hashlom. True, the achilas hamenoches the Ram counts as separate mitzvah peches, which will have to be dealt with, and the dinim are all these dinim per Yud Beis. You'll find in my Sekabonos Halachavav, Zion, and Tes, which we learn Vashlomas Inyan from the mitzvah of Menachos. Okay. Now, Rabbi Isai, I'm just going to introduce something, and Mitzvah Shem, that's next week's discussion at the beginning. If you open up, the Ram here has a mitzvah called Parhel and Dover Shel Tzibur. Okay. I'm Oretz. I push it, open up Chumash. Okay. Open up Chumash. And what the convention is, Perek Daled of Vayikra. Vaydaber Shel Moshe Lema, Daver Yisrael, Nefesh Kisech the Bishkol, Mikom Mitz Hashem, Asher Lo Ser Sever. Ima Koina Mashiach. Okay. So that's Perek, that's Shirish Zayin, Fikah, of the mitzvah of Chatos. Okay. Then you go further. Posuk Yud Gimel, V'im Kol Adas Yisrael Yishku, that's Parhel and Dover. Posuk Chav Beis, Nosi, and Posuk Nosi, and you'll find in the next one, you'll find the Amoritz, okay? So I would have done like I'm Sadi going, that there are separate mitzvahs, there are 4 separate mitzvahs over here, okay? Or 4 mitzvahs, or 1 mitzvah. The Ram counts this as 2 mitzvahs. The Ram has the mitzvah of Chatas Kavua, and he has a separate mitzvah called Parhel and Dover Shel Tzibur. Mitzvah Shem will have to pick this up next week. Have a nice day and a nice week.